one of the future Korean superstars. And I don't say that word lightly because I think he can be incredibly good, almost busting out to the scene as explosively as Dongre-gu. I think he's got that ability. Let's see what he's got. Introducing the top center on Metropolis. It is Zenio from Team Liquid, also known as Jungmin Choi, who's one of the 3 Koreans on Team Liquid. Fun fact is Team Liquid has 1 Korean from each race, a Zerg, a Protoss, and a Terran. And over in the bottom center from Team TSL, the SCV Light, it is Hyun, who is just one of the strongest online players. And Kevin just gave me a note that Hyun also won 2 Go for StarCraft 2 monthlies in a row. Are you kidding me? Wow. That is, according to this, that's 8,000 euro? Oh, 500 euro. I read your 5 as an 8. I don't know why. $8,000. That's pretty insane.
Oh, VM.
Oh, you're joking.
500 euros is not $8,000.
Kevin, you wrote $8,000, man. I say $8,000.
Anyway, back to the game. We do have pretty much the same openings, 15 hatch coming out from both these players. So we can kind of expect this on Metropolis. Frodan, what kind of things do we expect on Metropolis? I mean, we saw one game, I think it was very unorthodox, which was Zen versus Stefano just a few moments ago. But what do you think we should be expecting on this map?
I mean, hatch first is very expected. It's long distance, and even the fact that Zenio and Hyun both scouted that they're not close by air gives them incredible amount of distance between the 2 bases. Zenio is a very big Roach-based player. Every series that we've seen madness from Zenio is because he is so hyper-aggressive with Roaches. He sends it to the 4th, drops in the main, attacks the 3rd. I'm surprised he hasn't even incorporated Nices yet, but maybe he does that soon. Zenio is one of these players that's everywhere at the same time and just loves having his presence on the map, especially mid to late game. And Roaches, of course, give not just mobility but sturdiness to your army composition. Hyun, I'm a little bit, I will admit, I haven't seen too much of his ZVZs because a lot of playhams are dominated by a lot of Korean Zergs, but it's usually like Hyun in the finals against like Crane or someone like that. So I've seen more of his ZVP. I don't know anything about his ZVZ style. Do you have any insight into that, Andre?
Honestly, I don't. I haven't been able to keep up with Hyun, not because I don't want to, it's just because of the sheer amount of players that exist out in the field. So this is actually one of the first ZVZs I've seen of him, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's because I know Hyun, he runs it to Todd a lot.
One of the first ZVZs recently, I should say, within the past 2-3 months.
So let's see what Hyun and Zenio can do. Andre, what do you like seeing on this map? Do you like that muted kind of style, especially since it is a very expansive map?
You know, my go-to is actually mutas. I think mutas are one of the most powerful things. If you're not on a map that's super tiny like, let's say, Ohana, I think it's just the way to go. As we saw, taking map control, I can't stress this enough. I mean, that anonymity gives you that ridiculous range. All of a sudden, your opponent's like, well, is he all-inning or is he going for something like, you know, really fast expansion and droning up like crazy? And because of that, there's a lot of indirect damage that's done. I mean, really, I feel like the player that doesn't have that map control has to straddle the fence and say, okay, I need to get economy in case they're going economy, but I also need to get units instead in case they're getting units. So I feel like Muta style is definitely very, very prevalent on this map, but it definitely is a stylistic thing, and I've seen Roach, Hydra, Infester just straight up, like Roach Infester work as well, so we'll see.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, I mean, both players seem to be getting in the bidding nest defensively as well as you can see Zenio's making some just to be able to macro up. Metropolis, one of those maps that a lot of people even complain that says you kind of start the game off 3 base. Not necessarily the case in ZVZ because the 3rd is pretty far isolated and it's kind of hard to get the queens in position to defend the 3rd if you choose to go for early aggression, especially if you go for a Zergling-based composition. Neither player really getting gases 2 to 4 yet. And so we've seen a really heavy drone emphasis. In fact, look at that. Hyun's already at 46 drones, Andre. Good lord.
And both these players, very, very different than, I think, the ZVZ style that we saw last game. Of course, with Stefano and Sen. But I don't mind it at all. And already you can see just the delayed layer that we have over here. This layer is significantly later than what we saw in the last 3 games from both of these players for them. You can see all 4 extractors are going down at the same time. So I am expecting some sort of roach play. Normally you will get, you know, your tech a little bit earlier if you want to tech up. That's really obvious, actually. So we'll see.
Yep.
We'll take a look. I'm probably expecting some sort of defensive roaches for both these players and taking a third base, but still anything can happen.
For perspective of last time, we saw Mutas come out at the 9:30 mark from Sen. And Sen, I mean, that takes like 2 minutes to get the Spire and Mutas out, like 130 seconds.
Yep.
Which means that his lair was done at like a little bit before the 7:30 mark, and both players are just finishing up their lair. That's how fast they were going compared to these guys. These guys are really taking their time, really droning up, and trying to get their advantage that way. Now we see Spire tech coming out from Zenio.
Wow.
Zenio switching it up. Before he's been a pretty big, notorious roach-based ZVZ player. What do you think about this, Andre?
Yeah, no, I don't mind this at all. As I was saying, I prefer Spire Tech the most. I still think everything else is good, but I think overall you're going to get the best dividends if you actually go for a Spire-based opening. And it's just because it gives you that flexibility to move and defend against a wide variety of things. But already we do have a little aggression going on third base, and this might actually be a good amount of Zerglings to take this third base out, but no, Hyun is just going to back up from here because there's a counterattack going into the third base of Hyun.
Well,
and this could do a little bit of damage, taking out the Queen at least.
Oh no, Andre, it is more than a little damage. It is dicey over here at this third base. Zenio snipes the Queen, and you know he's going to also pressure this third. Hyun does get there in time, but there's more aggression from Zenio as well as he's running straight into the natural. Does manage to get up the ramp to scout the main as well, and he can pick off the Queen there. Stall more production, but no, chooses to go instead directly for the roaches.
Yeah. Zenio needs to be a little bit careful. You want to keep that Zergling count up as much as possible because you know, those roaches against Zerglings are better in lower numbers for each side. So if he doesn't have enough Zerglings, there's definitely a counterattack that Hyun can do. Nice. That's really, really difficult to stop. Nicely done with the Banelings, but I don't know who actually who actually committed the act.
Andre, these Zerglings at the third have been very effective. They not only picked off more units there. There's like a couple of Zerglings and a roach there, but he also sniped a lot of drones and stalled production. So Zenio, despite this though, committed a lot of larvae to units, and you can see that Hyun still has an incredible drone advantage. Oh my goodness, 71 to 53.
Yes, but it will be a little bit difficult to actually defend against these Mutas. The Mutas are actually going to take an amazing amount of map control, and on top of that, they're going to be able to really stall Hyun until he can get some sort of sustainable anti-air. Now, yes, he's able to defend his third base, but this is going to be a very difficult area to defend both places. And you can see Zerglings are going to swoop in right now and take out this one Queen. Very nicely done.
And use the Zerglings to pin the Queen as well, so they can't just do the simple thing of running around trying to let the Spore Crawler do damage. Zenio continue to put on pressure, but I love the fact that he's also adding on a macro hatchery and able to transition directly into the Roach Warren, getting his upgrade. So that's kind of what we've been seeing the Muta count again, pinning his opponent, making sure he has map control. The only thing is that sometimes Zerg players take a fourth base behind this aggression, but Zenio, of course, he's been committing so much larva that he needs to at least saturate his third.
Yeah, I think you should actually, in general, take a fourth base, but great Fungals actually going down here. To be expected Fungals, I guess.
Oh, but he is picking off a couple Queens and still taking out Infestors as well, so not going down without a fight. The Mutalisk fighting to their last breath, picks off another Queen. Oh, and another Infestor is also in jeopardy. Oh my goodness, Zenio being very cost efficient with his units.
And this is one of the hardest problems with going Infestor. You need to make sure you're taking care of all of them, because just one slip, they are super brittle, and they're a high priority target for Zenio to actually hit. Zenio now transitioning over. He has roaches out in the field, and he's about to actually complete +1 missile attacks. And let's look at the upgrades. 1-0 out for Hyun. Of course, 1-1 approaching for Zenio. So Zenio will have the upgrade advantage. I don't think he has the unit advantage, so he needs to trail off a little bit right now and not fully engaged. But I think Zenio is in the much better position, even though both these players have very even supplies. The fourth base is coming up. And what did I always say? Map control in ZVZ, you cannot underrate that.
Yeah, and especially gases 7 and 8 as well, especially when you want to start transitioning directly into just mass infestor production and to keep a constant cycle of roaches, which is inevitably what both player wants to do. +2 started for Hyun as well, so he has to, you know, try to get his little advantage over there, as we saw again in Vibe versus Target, the advantage of having +2 compared to +1. Other than that, though, it's kind of a state of ZVZ where it's a little bit hard to attack into your opponent, Andre, especially on a large map like Metropolis. The defender's advantage is so significant.
That's right.
It's huge.
And I think this is the stage where we enter in Metropolis, just like any other map. It doesn't matter how big it is. Ohana, Daybreak, Cloud Kingdom. These two players are just going to sit back and relax.
Yeah.
And get Hydras, get Infestors, get their upgrades, go to Hive Tech. This is all to be expected just because ZVZ, the Infestors, the fungal growth, is just so powerful, as you were saying, Frodan. And what I would love is just to change up slight little drops here and there. You can see Hyun is actually massing up pretty substantially. And that has to be probably in not only the Roach count, but also the Hydra count, 18 to 35, as we can see. And at this point, I feel like Zenio's trying to catch up with those Infestors, but he still has a pretty comparable army. I thought he did.
Well, I do like this incorporation of Spine Crawlers, kind of shut off chokes and make it difficult for Hyun to kind of push in, especially Fungals plus the Spine Crawlers is just an impossible wall to break. Just ask any race when they have to face that.
Ask the Protoss race.
Ask our resident Protoss expert Rotterdam about what he thinks about Fungal and Spines.
Yep.
Hyun's going to push in here, but you can't really do anything. He sees the wall, he has to back off.
Here's the hardest part about doing this. Like, you're seeing all this for the first time as Hyun. He doesn't know what's behind this wall. He doesn't know if there's a ton of Roaches and Hydras, Ultras, a ton of Fungals. It's really scary for him, and it's because of those mutas in this early game stage. This is the first time he's actually stepping out onto the map. Now he's going to see, oh, wow, your Infestor's so far out of position. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Oh, he's going to drop the Infested Terrans, lands a couple Fungals on high energy Infestors, and drops the Infested Terrans before his opponent. There's a lot of DPS from Hyun that's able to get straight into the production line. He's going straight for the layer that's evolving into a hive.
Wow.
GG, positioning matters way too much. And rather than fighting from behind, Hyun takes game number 1 in kind of anticlimactic fashion.
Yeah, it's really important to have overlords out in the field, spotters to see where your opponent is.
The Overseer was so clutch there.
That's right. That's right.
Man, that was that ended way too quick, Andre.
Yeah, it felt a little
kind of like
silly,
my prom date in high school, man.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Game number 1 was brought to you by Kingston HyperX. They won't quit on you. They won't end early. It's SSD and memory for your computer. We'll be back with game number 2 between Hyun versus Zenio. Find out what happens right after this.